welcome to this episode of Girl, Let's Talk.
Yes.
Okay? You know what? If you joined us, if you tuned in last week and you heard the juicy conversation about relationships, if you haven't listened to that, I advise you to go back because it was epic. It was the tea, it was the saucer, it was the overflow. It just was great. And so because of that, it is going to be continued today. And we're going to start off with marriages. Oh, man. So here's the tea. How do you maneuver in uncharted territories of becoming the woman you are in your 40s in your marriage? Because these good girls right here been married forever. Like, I don't know if they knew Colonel Sanders or what. He may have married them. They've been married forever.
The shade. Woo.
They did. I think so. Because together, 60 years now, Colonel Sanders is not that young. So, anyway, however, it's just not known today. Because most marriages end in divorce. But these girls have figured out how to maneuver through it. And listen, I am on the salsa just trying to get, the spillage just to get into the scene.
It's coming.
Okay?
It's coming.
I'm not rushing no more because, and you know what the crazy part, how we try to, like, I want it, and then you get it, you like, slow down, you taking me too fast, So, oh gosh, last week was epic. And so where we left off was talking about blended families. And how you maneuver through them. And some of us have, and some of us have not. And what would have happened if you just threw the marriage away because it was turmoil before you got married. Like if it just was crazy before you got married, like the day before the wedding, like you become runaway bride, or 2 months before the wedding or what have you, or, do you still decide that, okay, we can make it through this? Like, is that okay to do? Now, I know for me, growing up, I would hear that he's not the one. You would always hear that. He's not the one. He's not the one. If this is happening, then he's not the one. And so I want to hear about how did you get through that? Because those were like disqualifiers, to have that kind of drama before you get married. Right. And, what I would hear, it would be, oh, well, you're just not ready. But stuff happens. So how did you get through it?
You human. You would hear that he's not the one. But most women go into marriages thinking that, oh, I can change him. And you can't. Because that's who he is.
Right, because I would hear you would get married, it's like as is. So if this never changes, can you deal with this for the rest of your life? Because it's like an as is thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you always, talk to me about long suffering. And so some people are not willing to sit in it and wait for the flowers and for it to blossom. They just quick to give up, So you've talked to me, and that's in any relationship.
It is. It's in life, period. Just even with your own self. What she's talking about is I was sharing about the fruits of the spirit, and one of them is long suffering. And it's just something that we don't have in this day and age, especially now in counsel culture. There is no such thing now as long suffering. However, it's what God requires. If you have Christ-like mentality or the mind of Christ, then you should have a characteristics of the Holy Spirit, which is long suffering. But I think when you let your flesh get in the way, of that.
And pride.
Where you feel like, I know, transparency, I know for me that's the thing. That's a thing where, and it's no such thing as healthy pride. It just isn't. Where you feel like that ego, it's like that ego gets wounded and you almost just can't bear it. It's a physical feeling. It is a physical, when your pride is hurt, it's physical, almost like an illness, like you could just go throw up, where you're having to deal with something. And in relationships, to me, I think that brings it out. Not just in marriage, but just period. If you do let somebody get close to you to see it, see who you are, and you thinking I want to look perfect in front of them. I want to be, I'm just Marci in all her glory, and then your weakness shows and your pride sets in because then your friend sees you. That's why to me it's important to have people around you who can see your faults and your weaknesses and cover you.
And one of the things that you said too, I heard you saying, and we've talked about it, was when you because you were really, your parents was there, and you saw your father take care of your mother. So then unconsciously you are looking for your father. And any man, you are trying to size them up, and nobody's going to be your father.
Very true.
And so we don't even know that we really, our childhood is following us until you got to pivot from that. And so one of the things that I shared, I said, you can't put everybody up against your father. Now your father probably taught you to value certain things, but life was different back in the day than it is now.
Now it is.
They grew up, the mamas, they cook, clean, do all this, and the daddy did all the working. Nah, no more. We're independent. We have a voice. Most women are in charge now. So it is different.
It is. But I don't know, like for me, I do want that, where I want my father, that provider, that loving, dad who did all of those things, but I do want my freedom and my independence. So for me, I want to know that because I've been on both sides. I've had a lot and I haven't had enough. I want to know, do you have me at those peaks? And I need to feel it. I need to feel like you're going to have me. And if I'm here, you're going to be okay. And if I'm here, you're going to be okay. And I think that may be what I'm trying to say.
And that's what I told you. I said, this is what you're trying to say. However, you keep saying, my father did this. My daddy. Yeah. And so,
in 46.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know what? That little girl, she never goes away. Anybody?
No.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that for those of us that had a dominant male presence in our lives, that we saw loving our mothers, supporting their family, taking care of their children, going out to work and do different things to make sure that the family structure was okay. I think that's hard when you go into a relationship not looking for that same thing.
Right.
Because your father affirms you, your father teaches you who you are. So not looking for that and then wandering a little bit away from that when you see, okay, well, maybe this guy is as perfect as it's gonna be. So I think it's difficult when you go into a relationship, and it's difficult when you're in a marriage and you see, okay, well, maybe he didn't do something like my dad would have done. I struggle with that. Yeah. We call my dad Superman. We just do.
Oh, he was. My dad was.
Yeah, it's just Superman.
Clark Kent and the superhero.
Yeah.
But to my mother, was he that? Or was he that?
Exactly. Was that my wanderlust, seeing my father?
Yes. Because you didn't see all the behind the scenes.
I didn't see my mama go over there and say,
Yeah.
You know? I didn't see that. I didn't, but I know.
It's interesting because I didn't grow up with a father. And so my perspective and my point of view is a little bit different. Because I didn't have anyone to affirm me. And so I honestly, for me, I learned from my first marriage what not to do in my second marriage.
That's right.
That's what taught you.
And I knew that in order for me to have a successful marriage, I was going to have to allow him to be a man. That I could not try to usurp his authority of being a man, because I'm not a man. And then if it was going to work, and my husband today is a man. He is going to take charge. He's going to take authority. He's going to make sure everything is in place. But my first marriage, I just went on. I was like, well, no, we don't need to do that. And my mama said that you can't do all that. That don't work.
Okay, so how do you, okay. I'm glad you said that. So here it is. It's this feeling that come over you like, oh. You know, and then I don't know what that is that rises up in you, and you see a train wreck. Like, what do you say? Do you just say it's okay, let it happen?
No.
Like, what?
It doesn't mean that you don't have a voice. It doesn't mean you don't have a voice.
God, I'm like, how you been looking at that is not how you should be looking at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't do that. You don't let it. You do have a voice.
Yeah, you have a voice.
and you have to communicate it in a way that he understands and hears your heart.
Because you know what, in my head, I don't know what it is. I think I am so different than my 20s. I just am.
You should
because
be.
I would have been that person. Now it's like,
You know,
I don't have time for you to make no mistakes with us. It's how I feel.
Baby, she on a perfect land that we ain't seen. It don't exist.
I don't know. I turned into a slight little monster myself. That's why I told y'all. I was driving down the streets. I'm like, girl, what is wrong with you?
I told you you're different. You're different than in your 20s. And that's okay.
I don't know.
It's hormonal, it's physical.
You
it's
are okay with it not
mental.
being perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm like looking at them like,
but
what you doing?
But none of us, we are perfectly imperfect.
Right. Okay, so I'm not even okay. Oh Lord, let me tell you. So I hope he don't hear this. But he is so supportive, he will one day. He is like Jethro Bodine, and he'll just start eating and eat with his hand, and food be falling and stuff.
He's totally opposite of what you saw in your life.
Just he's not refined anyway. So, and I'll be like, oh babe, it's something. Oh honey, it's something. Where I have heartburn. I don't want him out. I don't. And so one time he told me, "Oh, I like it when I be by myself and I can just let my food. I just let it fall. I just be like fall on down. It's funny. Just fall. I just be like,
No, you don't like no smack.
Yeah, he said I just do it all because I know when I'm with baby.
You don't like
oh man, I'm gonna do a back roll on y'all and a Bobby Brown roll on the floor. It just sends something through my body. So I'm looking at him like, babe, come on now. You want to be this and this. So now I am at a business meeting, lunch. And I look to the left of me and it's this guy here eating. He is like the supervisor of the side. Like just, and he was eating with his hands. And I was like, oh, I guess it's okay. And I couldn't say nothing over here. And I said, see, Marci, I was telling myself, like, is it you wanted to control that matter and fix him? Because, like, he doing the same thing. And we are in a professional environment.
You got to let him be him.
Yeah.
I know, but it's scoring.
And resting while you feel in love. Don't worry about him over there smacking and eating.
He don't smack, but boy, it be coming out his mouth.
Just wait till you get old, because you know old people, they chew with their mouth open.
Yeah, I know it and just
I be
let it fall out. And I just think I love him and I do want him to be him, but I don't know who is she? Because why is it bothering me? I don't recall it ever bothering me in any relationship I've ever had. So I'm like, why am I so irritated now? Is it like, menopause?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm gonna qualify for you. It is mental. It is physical. It is hormonal. It is all of those things.
Well, you just change.
You just change. And it's not fair to us. It's God's greatest joke. It really is.
It is.
It is God's greatest joke. I mean, honestly, he gave them the brawn. He gave them the physical ability, right? But he gave us the mental ability. He just did. He downloaded characteristics of himself into each one of us,
but
male
man,
and female. But it changes on us. We lose testosterone. We stop having, we start having problems with certain things. We do not have problems with other things. I mean, I'm growing hair like crazy. I mean, where did that come from? I mean, I'm getting gray. I mean, my body is physically changing. There are things that are happening to me that I don't quite understand. So yeah, those things will bother you more now as you
does. And I want to leave them alone. I'm so
told. It happens to them too.
It does.
Yeah.
It happens to them too.
It does.
Absolutely.
They just don't talk about it.
They don't talk about it. And it's funny because my husband and I had this conversation. He said, I'm almost 60.
Yeah.
Things are different. They're changing. And, he went to the doctor and had all these tests ran. He was like, well, I got to do this, got to do this. And he was like, I'm almost 60 years old.
Yeah.
And I didn't, this is something that he was very open and very transparent to be able to talk to me about it. But they go through changes just like we do. They're not as quick to discuss it.
With their homeboy, we gonna call her.
Yeah.
Girl, what's wrong?
Yeah,
Girl,
they're not. They're not. Yeah, but they go through the same things. Cause I'm like, when I'm flashing, he's supportive because he's like, "Ooh, baby, shoo, all the colors on." He just helps me on out. He just helps me on out. But
They ain't gonna pick up the phone,
knows.
call their homeboy. Say, dog, yeah, last night I was trying to get it in and it wasn't working. What's wrong?
Yeah.
No.
They don't say
They
nothing.
ain't gonna do that. Mum's the word. Mum's the word. Mum's the word.
Us women in our 40s, we wanted more.
Yeah.
But then some people don't. Like, I don't know, but you know what? I tell you what. At this age, it's like what I'm looking at, what I thought relationships was back then. Even with my friend girls, like my tolerance, you know, and appetite for things that I did have long suffering for, it's like a healthy change. Like I'm not, I'm like that council culture thing where it was easy for me to just say, okay, we don't talk. I don't do that anymore. You know, I can just sit you to the side, and when we see each other or, you know, still check on you, I can still compartmentalize it.
That's like that thing that your grandmother would tell you, don't cut what you can untie. Just untie it.
Just
Cut it.
untie. But I didn't get to that point right now. That was wisdom talking, and I guess this is older, getting older, where you do feel like, okay, you know, it doesn't have to be so detrimental, like so boom. You know,
it's just like,
so final. You out of it.
So final. Yeah.
Exit stage left. You know, it was like that before. It was.
I remember one time when me and Roy went to counseling, and he was a pastor, Pastor Rod, he at Concord, and one of the things that he told us, he was like, he allowed his kids to see them have conflict and argue, because then they could see mommy and daddy make up, so they don't grow up thinking that life is perfect and he just Superman, and that you know how to resolve conflict and be able to move on. And so, but most of the time we try and shelter our kids from seeing that, I mean, not violence, but you know, like we can have a disagreement and we're gonna agree to disagree, right? And then we're gonna go and sit on this couch and we're gonna have dinner together and what we're gonna do and move on, right? And so I think sometimes that hinders us in our children as they grow up, like us, thinking that life is perfect and you're supposed to be perfect and you don't get to make no mistakes. And that's not true.
They truly, especially kids today, think that life is. We make it look perfect.
That's right.
We make it look easy. We make it look like, you know, oh, I'm going to graduate from college or high school, and I'm gonna go out here and buy me a $400,000 house, be riding in an $85,000 car because my mom and daddy did, because they see what's up here. They don't see all that it took to take to get here. They just see here.
Yeah.
And so even in some of the relationships you have, you know, it's like people see here.
They don't see what you had to go
through. They don't see what you had to go through. You know, when I first moved to the area, I saw you in a little like magazine, and you were the only African American woman in that booklet. And I just used to ride down, oh my God, she's in Allen. And then when I met you in church, you know, you were just this bigger than life person. For me, you were.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, and when I met you in church, when I met you in church, I was like, oh my God. And you know, you were the sweetest person. You know, because I thought you were this big person who you couldn't talk to or whatever, but you were just so sweet. But you had to get to this area in your life. And for me looking at, I'm like, oh my God, can I talk to her? Can I touch it? Can I feel it? Can I, you know, can I do any of this? Yeah. And she was the sweetest. And so people don't see what it took for you to get to be that doctor. Yeah. You know, in the only one in the whole city of Allen. That meant something to me. Oh. It meant something to me because you were a representative. It was representation. I saw somebody that looked like me. I saw somebody that could do it, and that gave me hope. Aww. Even then, it gave me hope.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, how cute is that?
I love it.
I love that. I do. I love it. You know what? One of the things that would knit us together would be to the affirmation of the people that are surrounding you, because it's going to take a village. It takes a village to get us from like point A to point B. Like for me, I'm grateful because you guys have been so transparent to let me see, you know, your lives, you know, and not, especially at us first coming around each other, or me coming around, not knowing you, you not knowing me, but still being vulnerable enough to show. Whereas it's been like a school of thought, you know, for me. Like, and I may be quiet and or laughing over here or joking, but I am taking notes. I'm taking notes. I take notes, and you know, all the time. And now I'm starting to really have to pull on those things. You know, that thing, that movement, check on your strong friend, kind of that movement, like it is so what it is, because you have no earthly idea what people go through, and that's what they may be feeling.
And they smiling on the outside and suffering on the inside.
And I bet you see a lot of that because people are in your chair all the time.
Every day.
And you're in a vulnerable position.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Be surprised of the stories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh Lord, all right, here we go.
Oh,
let me turn my head around.
Because it's the place he called you to, right?
Yeah, because
Natasha be like, you over there talking for a long time. Hey, I didn't know it was gonna go this way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's something.
Yeah.
You know what? To me, to be able to have a soft landing, to be able to have somebody to say, okay, this is to expose yourself to. You know, to say, this is my nasty. It's a mess. Can we fix it? Yes. You know, it reminds me of Jesus. Like when he knew he had to go to the cross. Like that was his life, right? He knew he had to do it, and it was time. And he was feeling his emotions was all over the place. And he asked his friends, "Can you guys just like pray with me?" You know, I gotta go pray by myself here. But while I'm gone, can you just feel what I'm feeling?
Right.
And the truth of the matter is they could not, and they went to sleep. But what people don't say about that passage is they didn't leave the garden, though. They stayed there with him.
there.
I feel bad for people that don't have it.
I know.
Because I love y'all.
I know. I love you too.
I love you
They
too.
stayed there. They were there. No, we always say that they, look at them, didn't even pray. They fell asleep. They were tired. But when he got done, they were there.
They were.
They were there. And sometimes it's the gift of presence.
You're absolutely right.
Those who helped me when when my mom died, it was those who didn't say anything. They just were there. And so, although he was about to go face some real trying times, and some of them were not going to make it through it, he was caring about them too, because once he was gone, it was going to be it, you know? So I'm just going to say that the gift of friendship in our relationships, it just kind of, it's a common thread throughout your life. I think you need it. It's like, go pick up one today. Like, go get that on Amazon Prime.
You need a community, yeah.
You do.
But first, you got to do what? What you always say?
Be a friend.
Be a friend.
Show yourself
Show
friendly.
yourself
You have to show yourself friendly. That's scripture. You have to show yourself friendly. Listen, girl, let's talk was deeper today, was it not? But today, Girl Let's Talk was brought to you by none other than Divas Styles Salon. Rachel Mathews. You can find her on TikTok, Instagram. And here in Dallas, I know a lot of people want to fly to come and get their hair done. We was eating lunch yesterday, and
Friday,
someone walked up to me and said, I wanted my hair done, and I saw you with her. And I was like, yes. Yes.
And she was from what, St. Louis?
St. Louis, I think, or somewhere like that.
Like, I follow y'all on social media, but we were sitting in Papados, yeah.
She said, I saw you come in, and then I saw her come in, and I was like, there they go.
Yeah, she did.
There they go.
From St. Louis.
From St. Louis. Visiting.
That's great.
Wow.
Visiting. Yeah. So
awesome.
I'm grateful.
absolutely. I'm grateful for your business too. I'm grateful for all of your businesses. Listen, join us next episode.